Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by for your daily Reiki micro session. This is called a micro session because it is only 5 minutes of Reiki. A normal session, at least a normal session with me, is generally an hour long. So, this is a Reiki micro session followed by 5 minutes of questions, whether you want to ask about Reiki, about psychic stuff, about mediumship stuff, or if you just have something that you want me to look out for you. I'm cool with any of that once we get to that point in this broadcast. But for right now, we are going to focus on the Reiki. So, what you need to know about Reiki before we get started is that I am going to be setting the intention for whatever will benefit each of you out there most as individuals. If you have something more specific that you would like the Reiki to focus on, feel free to go ahead and adjust that intention as long as you keep that intention still for yourself. Those of you who are watching this broadcast after it's no longer live, please know you can still get just as much Reiki energy out of it as you could if I was still actually broadcasting. Just because the Reiki is energy, it is not limited by time or by space. So, whoop, whoop, that's a great benefit that we have there. Let's see, what else do you need to know? So, this is only 5 minutes. It's just a tempter, a teaser, a taster, a trailer, just to let you know what Reiki could kind of do for you. You really want to get a hour-long session if you want to feel all the juice going to you and you alone. But this will bring some kind of benefit to you. So here we go. Let's start the Reiki, shall we? All right, so we're starting Reiki at 12 after the hour. That means we will finish it up at 17 after. Hello there, Alta Gracia Ramos. Glad to see you here. Shakoya Wilkins, welcome back. Universe Love, glad to see you back again, my dear. Financial and emotional peace for you. Oh, what a two great intentions. Shakoya, Alta, what are you guys using your Reiki for? Unnamed mystery person in the room, what are you using your Reiki for? Highest and best. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, Sacred Spirit does know what's the best for us. Spirit has the big picture. Aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky? Spirit's on our side and Spirit has the big picture. Spirit has our backs. Peace and good health. That's a good one too. There's a couple of good ones there. La da 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 da, la da da da. Peace is an interesting word, isn't it? There's different kinds of peace. Just like love is an interesting word because there's different kinds of love. But there's peace that's at a personal level, that's at an internal, mental, and emotional level. There's peace that's on the family level, like everybody's in harmony in the family or in the household. There's peace in the world. Wouldn't that be nice? There's peace as in peace and quiet. Harmony in the world. Wouldn't that be amazing? Amazing good. I wonder how many years it's been since there was actually harmony in the world. I know as long as I've been alive, that has not been a reality. I don't know if it's been a reality in the last couple of centuries. Wouldn't that be great if we got to be a generation that saw that? The thing is, we have the technology to pull that off nowadays. We have the technology to communicate with just about anybody, just about anywhere in the world. And if we really wanted to settle something intellectually instead of physically, violently, technically we have the capability to do that. If we have people smart enough in place to set that intention and work towards it. You know, if we put leaders in place that can do that. One more minute of Reiki, by the way. We're just passing the time as the Reiki flows with philosophical conversation or monologue mostly, but so sorry for you guys. I'm in a philosophical monologue day, and you guys happen to be the forced audience. I guess I can't say you're forced. You don't have to be here. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever dropped that. I appreciate it. All the thumbs ups actually get this video out to more people, so they have the option to choose us. So thank you very much. Same thing with the shares, of course. Thank you very much. We got a lot of Reiki energy running today. Lots and lots. That's a good thing. And now we're wrapping it up, though. Okay, so I'm going to set my timer on my phone for 5 minutes. Whoever has a question for me, throw it at me. Remember, if you guys want to ask me questions about Reiki or psychic stuff or mediumship, that's cool. I don't do medium readings here. Or if you just want me to read something, that's cool too. We have options. We can talk about pretty much whatever we want to talk about here. And now the air conditioner is talking. Well, I got to grab my blanket because the vent is right down there by my legs. Woo! And I'll have icicles dripping off of me if I don't. Okay, so Universe Love would like to have a COD. 3 other people in the room. Who else has a question? La da da da. Universe loves COD. COD, for those of you who don't know, is a card of the day. It's just a card that brings up something that Sacred Spirit would like you to be more aware of that happened either within the past 24 hours or the next 24 hours coming up. COD. 5 of coins in reverse for Universe Love. 5 of coins in reverse tells me that where your budget may have been restricted, now it is loosening up, at least by a little bit. Hope that makes sense for you, my dear. Shakoya, card of the day for you too. La da 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 da. La da da da. La da da. La da da. Also remember, what do they call those? Super chats are appreciated but not required. Perfect sense. Awesome. What did you pay off? Did you pay something off? Is that how you loosened up your budget? Shakoya, did you see all that shuffling I did? Can I get a witness? Did anybody see all that shuffling I did? You got the 5 of coins right side up. This actually just means that you're in a situation where things are feeling a little bit tight. You might be tightening up your belt a little bit when it comes to your budget. Man, unbelievable. I am fantastic, Miss Sherry. How are you, honey bunny? It's question time. If you get your question in before my timer goes off, I'll be happy to answer it for you. It can be something about psychic stuff if you're trying to develop your own abilities, or it can be anything else. Accurate, accurate. Well, I'm sure it's only temporary. You're quite welcome, my dear. La da 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 da. Who's next with a question? La da da la da da la da da. Oh my goodness. Thank you, universe. That was very kind of you. What do the cards have in store for you? The cards don't have anything in store for you. They're only the messengers. Let's see. What does Spirit do with the cards? What is it that Sherry should know? What is it of? What would you like to tell her through the cards? 3 cards from Miss Sherry today. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Okay, Ms. Sherry. Yeah, interesting card combination. You've got the 10 of coins, followed by the Fool in reverse, followed by the 7 of coins in reverse. Okay, so with the Fool and the 7 of coins both in reverse, this is telling me that you are continuing on something where you're putting energy and effort into something basically on a volunteer basis. You're not being paid for it, but you are putting energy and effort into something. And you've chosen to do this with the Fool. Not only did you choose to do this, you're choosing to continue to do this. Why? Why would you do that? Well, because it brings you great satisfaction. It may not bring you pay per se, but it does bring you great satisfaction. I hope that makes sense for you, Miss Sherry. When did I realize I had psychic ability? You know, that's a very interesting question because I didn't realize that until I was 41. Is that right? 40 or 41? Right before I turned 41, I think. Yeah. So I have to tell you that I've always had psychic ability. I just didn't know that I did. As I got older and I realized something was up, I just called it talking to God. I just I just felt like I just talked to God. Um, but once I got older and I met somebody, I met the love of my life, and then he kicked the bucket. Pissed me off, by the way. I've gotten over it by now, though. That happened October 29th in 2011. And it was a Saturday. He passed away about 8 in the morning. At around noon, I was looking at something on the computer, like he and I used to always evaluate on the computer, just personal, just because we had a common interest type of stuff. And I looked at this picture and I said, "Oh, Scott, I wonder what you would have to say about this if you were here." I'm not expecting to hear, "Welcome, Sherry," and I'm glad it makes sense for you. And then I heard this answer that was like 4 sentences long, and it included none of my thoughts. And that was the beginning of the end for me. That was when I started to realize something was happening that didn't happen to everybody else. So that was the beginning of the end for me. So I was 41 whenever I found out. And I very quickly started to investigate what could be going on because I really at first didn't know if I was crazy and I just wasn't ready to say goodbye to him. And I told her when she asked me why, I told her because I was talking to Scott more now that he was dead than I ever had when he was alive. And I didn't think that could be a good sign for me. And so she kind of chuckled a little bit and she said, "Well, it's normal for them to hang around for a little while until we're ready to let them go. And then they just kind of aren't there anymore." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So my takeaway from that was I was crazy, but it was temporary and that was okay. About 5 months in, I started hearing from another spirit that was not him, that I had never met in person. And I just kind of sat up straight and said, "Well, this is definitely not what my grief counselor was talking about." And so I had been doing some research trying to understand what was going on. And I had read in a John Edwards book something about going to a spiritual circle. And so I looked at Meetup and I found a place where psychics get together and practice their abilities. And I thought, I'm just going to go there one time and practice and see what happens. And I'll know that if anything that happens is off base, I'll know that I am just seriously cuckoo. And so I went there, and that night, what they did was an exercise with billets. And for those of you who don't know what billets are, those are where you take a question, you write it on a piece of paper, you tuck it in an envelope, you give the envelope to your psychic, and your psychic does not open the envelope, but they give you the answer to your question. So we all wrote down, there was 5 of us, and we all wrote down a question, tucked it in an envelope. Each envelope was numbered. Nobody knew who had what number, and the envelopes got all scrambled and redistributed. And we had to figure out who the envelope belonged to that we were reading, and we had to come up with the answer to the question. We didn't have to come up with the question. And so we were given time to do this, and we're writing everything out on little yellow legal pads. And at the end of it, there was 2 people that had never been to anything like this before, myself and one other girl. Everybody else was kind of familiar. And at the end of it, I was the only person there that I had picked up on who my person was. Without a doubt, I was very sure. Very surprised that I was right, but still, I mean, I was very sure. And I had picked up on a lot of different things about her that were accurate and true. And I had answered her question in a way that made sense for her. And when she told me that I had picked up on everything 100% correctly, you could have just blown on me and I would have fallen out of my chair. So, to give you background for that, I grew up in a situation where I was taught that to be psychic meant that you worked with the devil, and it meant that you were going straight to hell. And I was also taught that if you go to see a psychic, you're going straight to hell, and that psychics made a deal with the devil somewhere along the line. And so, as I was driving home that night from that meetup, I can remember having my hands at 10 and 2 coming around the ramp onto the highway to go home. I was going back Highway 6 West. I was going out of one of the suburbs in Denver, Lakewood, going back to Golden, where I used to live. And I remember thinking, I'm not crazy. I'm psychic. Now what? Why don't I remember making a deal with the devil? Wouldn't I remember that? And it really took me 2 weeks to realize that I would remember that. And I didn't do that. And what I had was a gift, and it's helpful to other people. And it was not long after that that I just went public with it. I think I did 4 practice readings on friends, and after the 4th one, I was back at home, and my spirit guides told me, "That's enough practice. You obviously know what you're doing. It's time to start charging." And that's when I came out publicly. So that's my story. Now you guys know. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and spending some time with me today, guys. Thank you for thumbs ups on this video. Thank you for sharing this video with other people that you think it may help. I do appreciate that so much. And of course, thank you for booking readings with me and booking Reiki sessions with me. It's because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. And of course, Universe Love, thank you, thank you, thank you for your kind addition to the channel today. I do appreciate it. Everybody have a fantastic day, and I'll see you back here the next time around. Peace out. How does my family feel about it? My family is really interesting. I was worried, to tell you the truth, about my family because of how I was raised and the things that we were taught in the church that I went to. My grandma did not go to the same church, and she was the first one that I came out to, but I knew that she was in a denomination that would consider me as headed straight to hell, basically. And she's probably the person in my family that I was the closest to. And so I told her first, and I told her, I said, Grandma, I have a very uh, important thing to tell you. I don't know if you're going to like it. I don't want you to worry about me, but I think you should know this. And so she listened to me tell her that I was psychic, and I told her a little bit about how I found out. And at the end of it, she looked at me and she says, now she was from Arkansas, and she sat in a wheelchair, so she had to look up at me. And she said, well, honey, I hope you don't think that you're surprising me. And I said, well, it surprised me. I said, how long have you known? And she said, well, I've known that you were special since you were in diapers. Apparently, I had been saying stuff and doing stuff and indicating that I knew things that nobody else knew for that long. And I knew that I knew things without knowing where that information came from, but I thought that everybody did that. I thought it was just like breathing. Like, we don't talk about breathing because everybody breathes. And I thought that we all just knew stuff, and that's why we didn't talk about it, because we all did it. I didn't realize that I had anything different going on. And then my dad was the next one that I came out to, and I really did not want to come out to him at all, or my mom. I was like, how long can I put this off? And I had a visit from my grandpa who died when I was 16, and he had a message that he wanted me to pass along to my dad. And I was like, oh no, I haven't told dad. I haven't told dad I'm doing this. I can't pass that message along. And he was very insistent. And so finally I said, well, okay. And then it took me 2 weeks to work up the nerve to call my dad and say, hey, Dad, I had a visit from Grandpa, and Grandpa says da 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 da. Which I didn't say it just like that. I approached it much more gently and gingerly. Um, but it was funny because what my dad said to me really blew me away. Because what he said was, wow, I was actually wondering about that about 2 weeks ago. And I hadn't told him I had waited 2 weeks to call him. He had no idea. So that was pretty cool. And so he's never really questioned anything about my gifts. And then when I went home to Missouri, because back then I lived in Colorado, for Mom, I just did one sample spread with the tarot cards just to show her kind of what I did. And she was okay. She was open with me doing that. And after I got done, I just did it really general. I didn't try to look at all the specifics because it's my mom. I don't want to pry into her life, you know? And so after I got done, she was like, that fits perfectly. That all makes perfect sense. And I've got good insight out of this, how to handle this situation. And so she's never questioned anything about where I'm going to end up after I die. Or really anything. The only question she ever had was, you mean you pay the bills with this stuff? That was her only real question, and that was a few years later. So that was how my family reacted. So anyway, guys, I need to get out of here. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.